Though Cold War tensions were high, the U.S. felt secure in the belief that it was the only nation on Earth with enough money and the technology to build atomic weapons. But on September 3, 1949, an American B-29 aircraft patrolling the North Pacific detected radioactivity high in the atmosphere. There was only one conclusion: the Russians had successfully tested an atomic bomb. President Truman's announcement of the news sent a shockwave through the United States and Western Europe. Now that the Soviet Union had the bomb, a nuclear arms race began between the superpowers. It would continue for the next 40 years, with the U.S. and the Soviet Union locked in a bitter and dangerous contest to develop weapons of mass destruction. Soon after the Soviets tested the atomic bomb, the U.S. suffered another shock. Chinese leader Chiang Kai-shek, whose government had been friendly to the U.S., was overthrown by Chinese communists led by Mao Zedong. Between China and the Soviet Union, a large portion of the world's population was now communist. Not long after the communist takeover of China, the U.S. policy of containment faced its first military test. After World War II, the Korean Peninsula had been divided into two sectors. The North was governed by communists who were supported by the Soviet Union. The U.S. backed anti-communist South Korea. In June 1950, North Korean soldiers invaded the South. Fearing further spread of communism, President Truman sent U.S. troops to Korea under the flag of the United Nations. During the first few months of the war, the U.S. and United Nations troops drove the communists back into North Korea. But with aid from China, the North Koreans again advanced to the south and for 3 years fought along the border between the two countries. The war eventually ended in a stalemate, with both sides retaining control of almost the same territory they had before the war. The United States and its allies, however, had shown they were willing to fight to prevent communist expansion. The Korean War only underlined the continuing tensions between the U.S. and the Soviet Union. Then, in 1957, Russia launched a rocket that put Sputnik, the world's first artificial satellite, into orbit around the Earth. To many Americans, it was an alarming development. They feared that the Soviets were capable of reaching the United States with rocket-launched missiles.
The United States had believed that its technological prowess that had created the vast war materials of World War II and then had invented the atomic bomb and the hydrogen bomb were its ultimate defenses against the Soviet Union. And with Sputnik, it seemed that the Soviet Union had now not only stolen the secret weapon of scientific prowess, but was now supreme in this area. So that was a tremendous blow to American self-confidence.
Responding to Sputnik in 1958, the U.S. government created the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, to build an American space program. Many Americans expressed alarm that the U.S. was falling behind in the nuclear arms race. Citizens and government officials alike feared that American peace, prosperity, and freedom were at stake. Families built bomb shelters, and children were taught in school to duck and cover in the event of nuclear attack. On May 1, 1960, just as the U.S. and the Soviet Union prepared to meet to discuss reducing tensions, the Russians announced they had shot down an American U-2 plane over their territory. After first denying the plane's real mission, President Dwight D. Eisenhower was forced to admit that the U.S. had been accumulating information on the status of Soviet arms through the use of ultra-secret spy planes. Nikita Khrushchev, the Russian head of state, stormed out of the summit meeting in Paris before it even began, dashing hopes for an agreement on curbing the arms race.